Okay, here we go.
Make sure that I'm drinking my coffee when we start.
Okay, perfect. Let's all be drinking coffee when we start. Hey, cheers up in the middle, I think.
Cheers up in the middle.
2 chunks. And welcome! I'm just kidding, here we go. Welcome to 2 Chunks and a Hunk,
Oh, hello.
our video podcast.
I didn't see you there.
Studio audience, welcome. This is going to be a podcast where we are talking about movies and our opinions on them. So, I'd like to introduce myself. I'll be your chunk this week. I'm Jordan Wonders.
I'm Doge. I'm your vice chunk support.
And I'm David Blease, and I'm your hunk for the week.
Hey. Simmer down. Simmer down. So this week, just to kick things off right, we're going to be talking about a movie very near and dear to my heart, to your heart, to your heart, to the
Homeward
hearts
Bound,
of...
The Incredible Journey.
About the dogs and the cat. No, we're going to be talking about a movie, and I think we all know it, so let's say it together. This is the greatest movie of all time. It's known as Man of Steel. So, to kick things off right, let's kick it over to my friend Doge, see if we can get a little synopsis going.
Everyone's favorite superhero, Steel Man, had a humble beginning. He was born onto a dying planet. His parents sent him to the planet of Earth, where we live. He grew up as one of us. What if Steel Man was one of us?
Just a slob.
Man of Steel.
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay. His parents send him from a dying planet. He's raised on Earth. And then finds out he's not the last of his race. There's other Kryptonians out there. And so Clark, as he's known on Earth...
It's E.T. so far.
It's E.T. so far. He's not the last of his race. He befriends a young boy and befriends a big old pile of Reese's Pieces.
Rides in a basket on the front of a bike and then flies to the moon.
And makes out hard with Lois Lane. Man of Steel. He has to decide if he's going to side with Earth or side with Krypton.
Who's double his age. Who could just as much be his aunt.
Young Drew Barrymore was fantastic in this film.
Okay, so that's Man of Steel. You guys know what it is.
That's
we all
Man of
know what it
Steel.
is. All the studio audience, live studio audience knows what it is.
Yep.
We're going to be giving thumbs up, thumbs down, and each of us get one super pump, one super dump to take on this movie, scene, character, costume, anything that we want to apply the pump and dump to. So the movie starts
Pump, lump, and
in
dump
Krypton. And how'd you feel about Krypton?
Land of CGI.
I'm gonna be honest. I did not love that little prelude at the beginning, just because we get told that information. Like, I think 3 more times over the course of the movie. We learn it then, and then we
the
learn
spaceship.
it. Yeah, and then we learn it on the spaceship with all the like magic metal figures. And then we learn it again when Zod tells Superman he has a vision where he's falling into the pile of skulls.
Why do they tell that so many times, as if we're not listening?
'Cause you
or
have
saw
to know.
the full 20-minute opening, and they're like, this man was Zod. He was General. We're like, we saw it.
We were there.
I think they also understand that a lot of people didn't want to watch the movie. And so they were telling it multiple times just in case you tuned in and out throughout the runtime.
It's like the
the
only
absurd runtime.
The first movie specifically designed for people to take tinkle breaks. Hey, don't worry. No. You missed that part. We got you. Don't worry. Hey, you were peeing? Don't worry. We'll tell you the whole movie like 2.5 times.
Honestly, that would also explain why they tried to ram so much emotional growth into 10 seconds at a time.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
I was a fan of the preview, the trailer.
The trailer was great.
The trailer was incredible.
Oh, dude, those ones with like the voiceovers.
They were
like
so
there was
good.
2 trailers.
One
And
was
one of them was
Jarrell.
Yeah.
And the other one was Kent.
dang,
Jonathan
dude.
Kent.
I forgot about those. Those were sweet.
DC knows how to make trailers.
That's all they know how to
The
make,
problem
though.
is their movies are one giant trailer.
Yep.
And I loved the chance to get a Superman that's like more edgy, and I don't know if edgy is not as if he's
Conflicted,
has
I
like
think.
guy liner on, but as in like
Guy
a
liner.
manly
30 seconds to Superman.
Played by Adam Lambert.
He's a rougher Superman,
Yeah.
and we get that for
Yeah.
20 minutes. And
love
why is he roaming the Earth trying to find himself?
Yeah, I
What
think
a
we're
good
supposed
question.
to infer that he's doing that to like try and find his parentage, like figure out where he came from. But it doesn't like.
How did he go straight there?
But didn't he know where he came from? Didn't his dad show him the ship when he was like 12?
Yeah. Here's the thing. I think something about this whole movie in general is the timeline is so screwy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's flashbacks that don't seem like flashbacks. There's current present time cuts that seem like flashbacks. I think chronologically we start in the middle with Clark on the boat, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it goes back to his childhood.
Yeah. But that I don't think that's made very clear in a lot of different ways.
Well, and I'm not sure
especially-
how does that serve
Yeah.
the movie? Like what's the win for doing that?
Dope screen of him lifting up an entire oil tanker.
I really love that part though.
It's a dope scene.
It's
cool.
really cool. It's really cool. But I kind of feel like that's symptomatic of the movie as a whole. Is just like there's so many of these super freaking cool moments.
Yeah, I agree.
And then ultimately the connective tissue between them is not really there.
Let's talk about this while we're on the oil tanker for a second. Hairiest Superman of all time.
Yeah,
man.
I love that.
So much chest hair.
I love it. I think he's the first superhero. Maybe Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman, I think, had some.
He's a hairy boy.
He's
Had some
astonishingly
hair.
He's a hairy boy.
Yeah.
They might be the two best shirtless superheroes that we've been given.
I don't feel like this is a podcast where we're qualified to make those kind of assessments.
I feel very qualified.
Let's just spend like the next 20 minutes rating like this is the best pecs in Hollywood.
Have you seen Tobey Maguire without his shirt on though? Because
this one right here, Spider-Man 1.
For all you podcast listeners out there, we just took our glasses off.
Yeah, there's
Sight gag, sight gag.
pretty huge sight gag. You're gonna have to watch the YouTube feed to really get the full extent of our comedy there.
we're visual comedians.
We're like the Three Stooges.
Prop comics.
So we like the oil tanker.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do.
We're not sure why he's finding himself.
Well,
all
I
across
get
the world.
like what it seems like a really just like ill-formulated plan. How does one, even if when I was 12 my dad was like, this is the spaceship you crashed in, I have to believe you were sent here for a reason. What do I do then? Like, so I'm assuming Clark turns 18 and just bounces. Mm-hmm. What do I do? Like, what's my next step? How do I eventually end up on Deadliest Catch?
But he doesn't turn 18 and just bounce.
When does he leave?
He's got to be 30 when Jonathan dies.
33 because he is an archetype of Jesus.
Yeah.
But when Jonathan dies, that's a flashback, isn't it?
Yeah, but how old is he there?
He's got to be 30.
But he's he's like raising
he
the
is
pitch
30.
of his
They're
voice.
trying to make him younger in that
he's
scene.
like raising the pitch of his voice. I think he's supposed to act younger. Is he?
Am I supposed to believe that he's 18 or 17?
18 years old?
Because you can't find an 18-year-old that's going to be as good looking as Henry Cavill.
That's
so
true.
you let Henry Cavill play an 18-year-old.
He's 18. Listen, he's from space. He ages differently than we do.
Heck yeah.
He's 18.
I don't buy it.
Maybe maybe on his 19th birthday he turned 33.
Did they address why he doesn't understand that he can fly until he does?
They don't explain so much. If we're talking about not explaining things, how about that freaking costume?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They never, ever explain how that costume comes to be.
Nope.
They're just like, want to hear the prologue again? Zod, a general. And then it turns around and there's a floating suit that's blue and red. And we've never seen blue and red before. We've never seen capes before. And it fit him like a glove.
So Kryptonians are
is-
psychic.
This is from the scout ship that was there like pre-ice age, right? If I'm remembering correctly,
Yeah.
they say like the surrounding ice is 18 billion
So
years
why
old.
was the suit?
How was the suit already
Unless
there?
we're to believe the ship burrowed through the 18 bajillion year old ice.
And then refroze it around it. So my thought, that's either a scout ship from the House of El, or they have crazy fast 3D printers on Krypton 2 billion years ago that they sent out with their scout ships.
And honestly, worse than that part for me when I'm watching this movie is the fact that he went clean shaven. Do you notice he was scruffy and he looked good, and then he comes out with the suit and
he still looked good.
he still look. I mean, he's Henry Cavill. He's gonna look good.
still looked good.
But
Yeah.
when did he shave?
he had
One,
a beard when he was in there.
when did he shave in that ship?
How did he shave?
Two, why did he shave? He looked perfect.
Do you think he took like the corpse of that robot guardian?
Yes.
It was just like,
That's my new headcanon for this movie for sure.
when did he shave?
Wait,
Never thought about that,
Can
did
Superman
you?
use a razor?
this is the age old question, and I'm gonna go with
That's really wrinkling my brain.
Maybe he laser visioned his
In a mirror,
own
like
cheek.
laser. Like how?
Cross-eyed.
Hey, for all you guys listening, there's another pretty significant sight gag here.
We call that glasses down nose man. It's a character that I'm workshopping right now. I think
It's a
gonna
guy
turn out
who
really
wears his
well.
glasses down on his nose.
That's pretty much it. That's the long and short of it right there.
Do we want to talk about how Amy Adams follows him into this ship and she's 50?
Before we even get to that, I want to know a couple of things about Lois in this
Yeah.
movie. One,
Talk about it.
how did she get clearance to just show up at this dig site? Why did she decide to follow the random dock worker looking guy who walked off into the distance without a jacket?
And she said, "Where are you going?"
Yeah, she goes,
You son of a gun.
think
what
it's 'cause she
camera
had-
is she using that can zero in on him from a quarter mile out in pitch black?
That's true. It's way better than these cameras.
And why did she decide to climb into a cavern to follow a random guy? What lead did she
She's
have?
just a reporter.
Yeah. What lead was she? Was somebody like, dog, I think there's aliens out there. Like, get after it, girl.
fishy.
Listen, Enchanted. I think he's from space.
But we've talked about this before. I didn't love Amy Adams.
Dude, I normally really love
But
Amy
I
Adams.
love Amy Adams.
She's a great actress. And this movie, she like overacts, over-enunciates everything the whole time that she talks. It's exactly like this. Like, the whole movie.
It's so nitpicky.
I have a theory that Amy Adams believes that she has had a genuine encounter with aliens. And I believe that that is why she took the role in Man of Steel. I believe that that is why
Oh,
she took
Amy
the
Adams,
role in
the
Arrival.
actress in
Oh,
real
yeah,
life.
no.
In
I have a
real
theory
life.
that Amy Adams, the woman,
Yes.
Yeah.
has had an encounter with aliens and is trying to get back. And so she's trying to send them a sign by taking every alien movie that comes her way so that she can be like, I'm on your team. Like,
Listen, I'm one of the good
clearly
ones.
I'm in with you. Like, let's do this, because she's trying to get back to wherever she was with those aliens.
I felt like the chemistry that they had between each other were the fact that their names were Superman and Lois Lane.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
That was the we were just
All
supposed to be
implied
like
chemistry.
We were supposed to root for them because we were like, that's Lois
Here's a
Lane
joke I've been
though.
practicing. I saw more chemistry in the 10th grade in my chemistry class.
So good.
I have
guys.
to leave.
Thanks,
I
guys.
can't be here anymore.
If that doesn't get us a 5-star rating, I don't know what will.
But no, I'm 100% with you. I think that every ounce of chemistry between the two characters was, I think the responsibility to create the chemistry was put on us as the viewer instead of on the script or the acting.
100%.
point.
It was just like, hey, remember Superman and Lois Lane?
Yeah.
This is them now.
I'm wrong if I think the chemistry's not there
Yeah.
because they're
Obviously
Lois
it's
Lane and
there.
It's the sunk
Superman.
cost fallacy. I paid for fun. That must be what I had.
Yeah. It couldn't be anything
Yeah,
different.
for real.
And I've joked about this like twice now. What is the age gap? Because you see
It's 47 years.
you see it a little bit in Man of Steel. As the series is going to progress,
Yeah.
you're going to see it hit hard.
Amy Adams is like,
She's a good amount older.
she is older than him.
And Henry
for sure.
Cavill is incredible. Looks incredible.
David, I think this podcast is turning into something that we did not intend it to.
Welcome to the Henry Cavil Hour. I will be your host, Jordan Wonders. We're going to dive in head first into our thoughts about Henry Cavill.
Welcome
We're
to
gonna
Henry Watch.
Henry Watch 2017.
We're going to dive in with the Cavs first. What do we think about him?
The Cavs.
Is he from Cleveland? That's a sports thing. The Cavs from Cleveland?
Those Cavs.
That's where Monsieur James plays, I believe.
Sir James.
Sir James.
James.
Let's go back.
James the basketballer.
He's in the crazy Antarctica. Antarctica. Is he in Antarctica?
The crazy
Alaska.
He's in the crazy Antarctica.
He's in the Ice Boy, is what we
Yeah.
call it.
He's in the Ice
fridge.
Boy with
He's
the,
in the fridge.
with the
Earth's
giant
freezer.
shape. He gets his suit that we don't know how. He starts flying, which he just found out. I'm assuming
He
someone
didn't find out.
He didn't find out.
He was just like, I'm going to touch the ground.
I'm gonna touch the ground. Let me try. He's like, let me
I'm
try.
gone.
Let me try in the spirit of Mr. James, the basketballer, a fellow Cav. Let me try and jump real high. He jumps so high, and then while he's in the air, he's like, I bet I could stay here.
I'll stay.
And he just does.
I do. Let's zone in on this for a second. At no point even does his hologram daddy go, P.S.
I bet you could fly
You
on
can
this
fly,
planet.
my dude. Superman's just like, I want to be there.
I wish
instead
that
of
was
here.
like a perfectly logical way to respond when you find out something new. Like anytime you learn something, you're like, but I bet I could fly.
I bet I
though.
can fly, though.
I bet with that knowledge, I can fly.
The voice of the house in Smart House is Katie Seagal from Sons of Anarchy.
Shoot, I bet I could fly.
I bet I could fly.
I could fly.
Anytime new information is presented. But that part of the movie genuinely bothers me.
Yeah.
Unless I might be missing something that I don't remember, but I watched it very recently and I still don't remember
2
seeing
weeks
it.
ago.
Well, I
Probably,
think
right?
again,
2-3
what they're
weeks
trying
ago.
to get you to focus on is like, look how cool this flying scene is.
Exactly.
It's like I feel like the whole movie relies on pre-existing knowledge. That like the whole movie. I mean, to be fair, is there a person alive in 2013 when this movie came out that doesn't know Superman's deal?
Yes. Credits.
Thanks for listening to our podcast. But for real, I feel like they're like, as hard as it is, they should have gone into the movie going, hey, let's pretend people don't know Superman's deal. Let's pretend they don't know about Superman.
I think
Lois
you always
Lane.
have to do that.
Let's pretend they don't know that Superman can fly, and like really explain that rather than just expect us to spend the whole movie going, man, I can't wait till he flies. Okay, he's flying finally.
Sure. Well,
Yeah.
and I think part of it is this movie was, I think, intended to be Superman for a new generation. It wasn't a remake of old Superman movies. It was this is the new Superman.
This ain't
that
no
we're gonna
Superman
see.
Returns.
This ain't your mama's Superman. And I think
Steel Man, everyone's favorite.
in the process of creating this movie about Superman that was new, they forgot that meant that there would probably be new things brought to the table that they needed to address or old things that needed to be rehashed so that people could kind of all jump in on the same page.
Yeah.
And instead they just said, how many scenes do we have to write in between dope looking things?
Yeah.
And I think that's a Snyder thing,
I was
honestly.
about
Zack
to say,
Snyder.
it's Snyder's MO.
Yeah, he's a moment guy.
Yeah.
300.
But
Watchmen.
it works in something like 300.
It does.
That's hyper stylized and not intended to set the tone for an entire series of movies now.
Yeah.
And the audience of 300 are people that just go, and so you don't have to establish characters.
I like
Listen,
300.
if you like
I
300
liked-
out there, we are so sorry that David is being so offensive
wanna
on
put
our
out-
first episode.
Personal apology to all 300 fans.
This just in, Doge, CEO of Two Hunks and a Chunk, apologizes profusely. Yeah, our center camera keeps dying. If you're listening at home, there's a pretty significant sight gag where our center camera keeps dying. So we're starting it over and over. If you hear beeping, it's because our center camera keeps dying.
Which actually I think would probably explain a lot of the weird shots from Man of Steel. Probably their center
Their center camera
kept
kept dying. That's it.
And they were just like, oh, we lost the entire scene where we explained how Clark understands that he can fly now. And Zach goes,
Oh shoot!
Press on.
That was shot on the center camera. Dang it!
keep going, forget it. We've got all the dialogue. No, trash it.
No,
Forget about it.
No way.
There's no chance.
Center camera or bust.
I want to go into a scene that I'm gonna give a pump, not a pump, a dump, not a super dump,
Just a regular dump.
I don't know if it happens before or after. I think it happens before when he's in the bar.
It does happen
Yeah,
before.
I know what you're gonna
It
say.
does happen before. This is a big thumbs down from me as well.
Hit him with a thumbs down, Jay.
This is a scene where Clark Kent, the mammoth of a man that he is, has
Steel Man. He's Steel Man.
decided to work as what appears to be a busboy in a bar at a truck stop somewhere. That's all we know.
Maybe he dances for tips.
He might dance for tips. He's big enough. But
Will you tell us about how would his pecs respond?
how would his pecs respond
Were
to
he
this
to dance
moment?
for tips?
A small man, small of stature,
Yep.
in the bar in which Clark has become a busboy for some apparent reason, pausing on his journey to find his parents, decides that he is angry at Clark for stepping in and stopping him from harassing a woman. And so this, again, the tiniest man, decides that he's going to step up to Clark Kent and dump beer on his head. And I want to, it looked a little something like this. Because Clark is,
For those of you listening at home, there's a pretty significant sight gag there. Jordan reached his entire arm above his head, pretended to dump beer in the face of a towering Clark Kent.
It's true though. Like he's a foot taller than him. He dumps the beer and
He like
then
has to throw it up.
Clark-
He's like, man, I hope this hits him.
Clark destroys his livelihood.
Yeah.
The man's job is over.
Super chump.
Which, yeah, that not a big fan of that.
Should we adjust that camera? So sorry.
It's a little turned.
It's getting turned.
Yeah. Just like we are, guys, to BH.
That's money.
The question is not, why would he do that to Superman? The question is, why would anyone do that to someone who looks like Henry Cavill and is 6'3" and the size?
Eliminate powers.
Yep, just get him out of there.
Eliminate powers. Forget about it. This is a behemoth of a man. This is David versus Goliath if Goliath was 2 Goliaths and David was half a David. This is absurd.
Yeah.
And the guy just says, this is a good idea for me right now to do this.
And then Clark, who we almost root for, we're like, yeah, he could have done something, but he didn't because he's got character, because he's righteous. And then we go outside and he's destroyed the man's truck, which is way
Clark's
worse.
like, dang, I gotta wash this beer off my face. Looks like this guy's never gonna make another $1.
not going home to his family.
That's an appropriate response. Steel Man, thanks for being a hero.
They really took it away from you. You were like, I'm proud of him. Like, clearly he's learned character. And then, nope. But then he becomes Superman like a week after. So it's not even a part of the story where you're like, yeah, he's still learning. You're like,
He's got some growth to do.
he just really
That's
wanted.
pretty much it.
He just really wanted to get back at that guy.
But can I be honest? At the time, I was like, yeah.
I think that's what they were going for.
destroy
The
that
audience
truck.
being like,
The first time,
I hate
the
bullies.
first time I watched this movie, I should say, the first time I watched this movie, I distinctly remember standing up with my friend that we had gone to the midnight premiere. We were so pumped for this movie. We stood up afterward, looked at each other, and we go, dude, that is a serious contender for the best movie that I've ever seen in my entire life.
We're way too pumped about superhero movies during first showings.
That's true.
I can't give an accurate description of how I feel about superhero movies until probably a week after I see them. I have to reflect on
Let the
them.
dust settle from how excited we are to
Because
see them.
every superhero movie ends and I'm like, that was the greatest movie I've ever seen.
I loved Spider-Man 3 up until about 2011.
Did you really?
Dude,
I did too. When I saw
for
Spider-Man 3 in theaters,
a long time. I loved it. I, to be honest, still love it.
I'm not there. I'm not at that
Might
point.
disqualify me.
I saw Spider-Man 2, the Tobey Maguire one.
Oh, Spider-Man
that
2 is
one
incredible.
rules.
Doc Ock was awesome.
But we're talking about Man of Steel.
We sure are, and we're back.
They are.
What comes after? They go, he becomes Superman, and what is the basic story then? Zod comes back? Is that,
See, that's
is that
the
right
thing.
away?
Like, there's
why?
not really like Clark doesn't really have much of a character in this movie. Like, he kind of just does stuff.
Yeah.
I think what we're supposed to infer is that this movie's Clark like making a choice between Krypton and between Earth, and that's just not really presented to us.
No.
Yeah.
Like, it should have been Jonathan arguing and like Jonathan's teaching of Clark, like, hey, Earth sucks sometimes. Like, people can be pretty crappy, but we're still good, and you have to be on our side, and you have to look for the good in people and draw it out of people. And Zod should be saying, hey, Earth sucks. They had their shot. We're going to build Krypton here, which then empowers Superman to
Make a choice.
make his space dad's speech mean something when he says you're going to be an ideal for people to strive toward. They're going to fail, but racing behind you, they will join you in the sun or whatever, which was lifted completely from the 1976 Superman.
But is also a killer line.
It's an awesome line.
good.
But that, like, it doesn't really fit in this movie anywhere. Like, it's not, I think that's what they think they gave us, but it's not what we found
It's
when
a
we
way
opened the
better
present.
plot point is having because you never for a second he never really made the choice. We never thought that he was pressured to make the choice. The only choice that he was pressured to make was whether I let Zod take me or not.
Yeah.
But even then,
Yeah.
It was just like, it was just kind of like mishandled, I feel like. Like, the elements are there. Somewhere in this movie, a great movie is hiding.
Yeah.
And it's kind of just like buried with strange decisions.
I think for me, a big thumbs down about this movie in general is Zod is never painted as anything but evil. There is no point in the movie where we as the viewer are given an opportunity to look at Zod and go, hold up.
I see his side.
Yeah, I
Get it.
He has no side. His side is destroy Earth, terraform, make a new Krypton, which one, he doesn't even know if that will work.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
two,
no, I thought that that's what they I thought that's what they did to like all the other planets.
Yeah, they use the terraformers.
They use the world engines to make like a bunch of a bunch of like little mini Kryptons.
Right. No,
Kryptonitos.
you're right. But
So it would have worked, but we never got to sympathize with him.
yeah, well, there was never a point where we got to see. I think it would have been poignant if Zod had a moment where he was able to break down and say, "This is what I lost." But from even
I
the
think that's what they
beginning
tried.
on
They
Krypton,
tried to do that though. They tried to have him say like, "I was bred to protect Krypton. I had a chance to build Krypton again here, and you took it from me." And then he learns that he can fly.
right?
With that new
That's
information,
true.
it's
That's
like Peter
true.
Pan. Honestly, it's like Peter Pan. He believed
Sprinkle
he could
belief
fly,
dust.
and
Yeah.
he could.
Well, but I think the thing that it boils down to is I was raised to defend a planet that is now dead, and I was going to remake it, and you took that chance from me. At least for this guy right here, that's not a compelling reason for me to go, I see your side.
Yeah.
I think if there was something more, and I think that's what it should have been, is Zod should have been a character that we were like, oh man, he's dangerous, but at the same time, I get it.
Yeah.
Well, and I think if he would have looked at the genocide of humanity and the terribleness that is Earth at times, he could try to convince Superman this is not a good place.
There's not a whole lot of convincing. Like, he arrives on Earth already decided that he's going to be against Superman.
Yeah.
And that doesn't make him, I think it would have been much more compelling, and Superman would have had to make a choice.
If he tried to
say, like, hey, the Darth Vader moment, join me, we
Manipulate
can
him.
rule the galaxy
Yeah.
as father and
Yeah.
son.
Absolutely.
that'd be way better.
Well, and I also just want to point out that apparently Kryptonians have the computer program Rosetta Stone, and are
Rosetta
able
Stone
to,
in the Phantom Zone.
are able to translate every language
In real time?
in real time.
Is it
Or did they
real time,
record
or
it
is it just like,
different
you are not alone? Spanish, you are not alone. Mandarin, you are not alone. Like, over and over and over and over again through every single language on Earth.
Probably had a couple hundred years drive to Earth.
But how is he only 30 years older?
Great question.
He does have a goatee to show that.
That's true, to show that time has
has
passed.
And his hair is like into weird little spikies at the top.
Yeah,
that
not
was
into
weird.
that. I do. While we're on Zod, though, I love Michael Shannon.
Michael Shannon is normally someone that I love to watch.
I enjoy his passion, and I want my new text tone to be him going, I will find him! It's the only thing I want.
I think Michael Shannon
I'm going to stand up from this chair. for
did
just a
well with the script that he was given.
Yeah,
Fair?
Yeah.
Are we in agreement?
I'm right there with you, my dog.
And I'm gonna go ahead and toss out my super dump, if that's okay.
Yeah, hit
because
us.
one of the things that I loved the idea of was that Superman, the big things he struggled with was, is the world ready to see what I can do?
Right.
I like that.
Yeah.
And it was planted in him from his father, Jonathan Kent, and he says basically to Lois, my father believed the world wasn't ready. So he died believing that. And I'm like, okay, so he died protecting the fact that the world isn't ready to see your powers.
Right.
Here's the flashback. Here's where the dump comes in.
So with you right now.
In this flashback, there's a tornado coming, and there's like 7 people that go under an overpass. First of all, they leave the dog in the car. It happens, okay? I get it. And Superman...
You're running away from a spinning boy. You ain't got time to worry about no puppies.
And
Leave the puppies
Let me say this again.
behind.
Superman says, I'll get the dog. Jonathan Kent says, no.
No.
I'll get the dog.
Think about it, Steel Man. Nothing hurts you. Most things hurt me.
I'm a squishy boy.
I'll go get the dog.
So he gets the dog. Clark and his mom go under the underpass with like 7 people. And he gets caught in the car, and tornado's coming, about to kill him, and Clark looks at him like, I can save him with my super speed. Jonathan Kent looks at him and says, no. Son, the world isn't ready. 7 people.
Maybe
With
that's the
super
entire
speed.
population of Smallville. And
It could be.
What if it's actually
there's more kids than that on the bus, so.
True.
it's a whole like conglomerate. It's a bunch of towns. With
Even
one big square.
if he goes and saves his dad, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, you have super speed. And he's going to say, no one's ever going to believe you.
Or he could say, tell somebody, I dare you.
Or he could say, I do have super speed. You guys all know that. With that knowledge, let's all fly away. And they would all fly away. You can all fly because you learned something
fly
new.
together. Well, who is going to defy the wishes of the man that can punch you through the moon to death?
And here's the thing.
Those guys that can punch you through the moon, but not to death.
Not to death. Those are the ones that you need to be
in a way
like,
that you can
a
survive
little
it.
afraid of.
Yeah.
Here's the thing that bothered me. I think that scene could have had one element that made it make sense.
A different director.
Yeah, yeah, very true. Christopher Nolan shouldn't have produced. He should have directed.
Amen to that.
Oh, my goodness. But here's the thing. I think they could have added a helicopter that was filming a live feed that the entire world is watching. And rather than him saying, no, these 7 people can't know. The world can't know your secret. He says, he points up to the
CNN is up
helicopter.
there.
Yeah. Helicopter. And he says, everybody will know.
Yeah.
And then I get that. And then I can move
Yeah.
forward with the story.
Yeah.
But I can't move forward with the story knowing that his father died because 7 people from Smallville couldn't see his super speed.
Is this your
Maybe?
super dump?
That's my super dumb.
Then I'm
Okay.
going to double super dump this exact
It's a
scene.
super
This is exactly
duper
where
dump.
Yeah, it's a super duper dump. And I honestly couldn't agree with you more. I think that this scene alone for me kills so much of the movie.
Yeah.
Even just kills the time with me thinking about how dumb I thought it was.
Yeah.
That I find it so hard to get behind an invincible superhero that wouldn't stand up to his dad in the one instance where it would save his dad.
Yeah. So my super dump is like, I've kind of already touched on it, and it is tangentially related to this. So I don't know if we're going to triple dogpile on this and make it a super D-duper dump.
Yeah, it might be.
But like just in general, a big thumbs down to the whole structure of this, where Jonathan doesn't really get to articulate a clear point, and Zod doesn't articulate a clear point, and so Superman is torn between not 2 extremes, but like 2 very similar positions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That-
You're talking about how Jonathan Kent was basically like a bad guy?
Jonathan Kent was
maybe you
basically
should
like,
let him die.
He was like, hey, like people on Earth aren't really good enough for you. And Zod's like, hey, Clark, Cal, people on Earth aren't really good enough for you. And Superman's like, no, I'm going to make a choice. Between what? It's the same thing.
It is. That's so true.
He honestly, and you should love Jonathan Kent.
Yeah, 100%.
You should love him. And
I
honestly,
only
I love-
love him
I love
because he's...
Martha.
I only love Jonathan because he's Kevin Costner.
Yeah.
yeah, but he's kind of not the greatest dad.
No, he's a bad dad.
He's like, what was I supposed to do? Let him drown? And he wasn't like, yeah, you're right. I'm proud of you. He was like, maybe you should let him drown.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Probably.
They're not ready to see it, so sucks for the bus driver.
Well, and I love that, like, his big lesson is like, do you want to hit that kid? And Clark's like, yeah. And his dad's like, but you didn't. And Clark's like, no. He's like, all right.
Yeah.
That's it. There's no good, because you know that, like, a punch from you is murder.
Yeah.
There's
He
no
would explode into a red mist if you punched him.
There's no, like, your punches would vaporize him. It's literally just like, do you want to hit him? Yeah. But you didn't.
Well, he even says,
Now do you understand?
Part of me wanted you to. And it's like, that's real.
Yeah, cool.
But he doesn't then go and teach him.
But he doesn't ever say, but you can't do that because humans, we need you.
Yeah.
We need you to be better than us.
Well, even beyond that, I think an even simpler lesson would be, you can't do that because we, as humans, don't want to die from face punching to death.
But I will turn this around and say one of my pumps is Martha Kent.
100%.
She's
Yeah, I like
incredible.
her. She's really good in this.
When she has that conversation with him when he's a little kid through the door, I was there.
Yeah.
She was like, picture an island. I was like, I see it.
Except,
I see it, Mom.
can I tell you?
Tell
I
me.
wasn't there at all.
You weren't?
No,
Oh, I, like
I hate
scene like
that
that.
scene so
I
much.
loved that scene.
It doesn't mean anything.
I took it as it was honing in his powers and teaching him to live with it and make sense of it.
So let me ask you this.
Oh, no. So you can't add more logic than that in this movie. It doesn't go deeper than this.
This
How
is a
does
movie
she-
about everyone's favorite hero, Steel Man, coming from space to save us from the opinion that man is not good.
How does his mom know what he needs? She's never had those
Mom.
She's a mom, though. That's the real superpower.
The real superpower is mom.
What you didn't see is that she
Mom of Steel.
She learned that she could help him, and then
So now she can fly.
flew home. She just flew home.
But one of my pumps that does turn into a dump, and honestly, it was my super pump when I'm watching the movie because I almost stood up in excitement, was when Zod takes and chokes the mom. And you're like, oh, shoot, because we love Martha.
Yeah.
And we're like, not on board with that. And then out of nowhere, Superman comes flying and says, that's my mom! And starts punching, and I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
And then I realized, wait a second. There were 7 other Kryptonians with the mom completely surrounding her. And Clark 8-mile punches Zod in a completely other direction and leaves his mom defenseless.
Clark, one of his superpowers is super tunnel vision.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. There's not a lot of forethought in the
What
actions
was the
of this
mom
movie.
thinking there? Like, oh, my son. Oh, shoot.
Oh, no.
What does he think is going to happen
I can tell you exactly what is going to happen.
Tell me.
Somebody's going to flip a truck through a home.
when he gets angry?
Yep.
Yeah.
Where's the ship?
I don't know. Let me throw your truck.
In the house.
Well, we've been pretty harsh on Man of Steel.
We have.
I'd like to throw out my super pump.
Yeah.
Throw
I
it.
think we can
Yeah,
we
I can
can
do that.
throw a little bit of
We've
levity
sufficiently
into the
lowered the
situation.
bar, so at this point, if we're like, "Hey, somebody smiled and it looked good," then that's a super pump for us.
For me, I think my super pump was actually the soundtrack.
Oh, that's good.
Love Hans Zimmer. Love the overarching Man of Steel theme.
Yeah. Dude, I love that the main theme is just that little tiny piano melody.
Yeah.
I feel like Hans Zimmer understood the character a little bit better than maybe the filmmakers did. Because that's who Superman is. Superman is not this big, brassy, huge theme. He's that tiny little piano Smallville theme. That's the Clark theme. He's Clark.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm totally with you.
Yeah.
Total pump on
I dig that soundtrack a lot. I bought the soundtrack.
Did we just super de-duper pump the soundtrack?
It's not my super pump. It's
Okay.
not my favorite thing
All right.
about the movie.
I used my super pump on the fight
right.
for Lois.
You're right.
Or Martha.
You're right.
But then I dumped it at the end when he left her
that's good.
defenseless.
I would have to say, gosh, and I have to do a super pump, don't I? I guess it's a sliding scale. So
It's a curve. Your bar is now lower.
I'm grading this on it's an S curve, but on my planet it means it's a hope curve. Thanks guys. It's another opportunity for you to rate us 5 stars. I think my super pump would have to be that moment. It was just a really uncharacteristically well-directed moment where I think her name is Jenny. She works at the planet. She's trapped under the
Yes.
rubble.
Yeah.
And Perry,
Oh my gosh.
who I feel like kind of was
scene.
sleepwalking through this movie. It doesn't really feel like old brother Lawrence was super into this whole idea.
I can't imagine why.
But the moment where he's trying to pull her out and he realizes, you know what, the world engine is going to flatten her and I can't do anything. And so he just holds her hand.
So I'm
Because he's
gonna stay.
like, I know she's going to die. I'm going to be here with her when she does.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was super powerful.
Yeah,
I'm going to give my super pump to that. That was just a really, really well done
And the
moment.
music.
Yeah.
Totally
Yeah.
helped.
100%. It was a
I'm legitimately have little goosey bees.
Goosey boys?
Thinking about it.
It is. I would call it. I think uncharacteristically heartfelt as well.
Yeah.
In a movie devoid of almost any depth, I think that moment is we get better characterization of a couple of side characters in that moment than we do of Clark almost the whole movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We see Perry's moral compass there.
In that moment, we see that he cares for his employees.
Yeah.
He cares for the people that work with him.
Ultimately, Man of Steel is a self-contained story about a boss who feels underappreciated for the level of compassion that he has for the people that work underneath him.
Meet Perry. He's editor-in-chief at a newspaper.
What I want you got might be hard and
Coming this Christmas.
I'm not gonna do the run. It's not gonna work.
I don't know. I completely lost what I was going to
That's
say.
okay. So,
If you're watching at home, there's a pretty significant sight gag where I opened my mouth to talk and no words came out because my brain ground to a halt.
So we're gonna rate this movie.
we're gonna rate this movie.
I think we should talk about the ending real quick because one, he kills Zod. I don't know how you feel about that.
I actually don't have a problem with that.
I didn't necessarily have a problem because I felt like it was moving towards a storyline.
I didn't have a problem with it before Batman vs. Superman came out.
Then you did have a problem with
Then
it?
I did have a problem with it because it in my mind is supposed to be, and I don't want to get too heavily into BVS because
That's
we'll
next,
hit that in a later date. But it's supposed to, that moment is supposed to lead him to a character growth of saying like, this, like the cost of this is too great. I can't do that to anybody else.
Yeah. So in this movie, that's exactly what I thought.
Yeah.
I'm excited because they're going to use this in the future, but they didn't execute that very well.
No.
It was the same with the destruction of all of Metropolis.
Yes.
Or some of it?
No.
How big is Metropolis?
Enormous.
Yeah, so I was like...
It was.
Like,
It used to be.
Here's the thing, like, in a movie featuring Steel Man who flies with the power of knowledge, jokes aside, when I was watching this movie and they just kept flying through downtown New York over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, that is the thing that brought me out of the movie.
Yeah.
Where I was just like, you know what? There's no way Metropolis is that big.
Yeah.
Well, and he snapped his neck, right? That's how he killed Zod. Maybe you can shed some light on this one. How would punching him 100,000 miles into a building not kill him, but the snap of the neck would?
Oh, that's simple. We know that Superman's powers are based on knowledge.
Yeah.
And so when he learned after the 149th punch into a building that it would not, in fact, kill Zod, what that did was actually give him the power to kill Zod through neck snappage.
Because it seemed pretty easy.
That's the power
too easy.
That's the power nobody talks about. But if you find it, it's in the comics.
The neck snap?
One of
Neck
Superman's powers is to know exactly the right vertebrae to twist to immediately kill.
The answer is all of them. Every vertebrae.
Yeah, because he was punching him into buildings, lasering him, and then at the very end he's like, you can't kill this family. Why'd you make me do this? And you're like,
Let me hit you with one other thing about that scene before we wrap up. I think that if there had been even any indication that he didn't want to kill bad guys, him killing a bad guy would have been more powerful.
Yeah.
But there was, in fact, if you recall, zero indication that was
that's
something
true.
that was involved in his moral compass.
yeah.
And so he kills Zod, and we're just like, yeah. Glad Zod's gone. But if there's no moment where Superman's a kid and is like, I could murder all those kids. And his dad's like, don't do that.
Yeah. Because of this reason. His dad's just like, don't do that. And Superman's like, okay.
Yeah.
And his dad's like, great job, Jonathan. You're
And then
such a
he
good father.
shoves a man's truck
Yeah.
in 18.
And here's the thing.
Poles?
I feel like Henry Cavil was really earnestly doing his best with this material that he was given. Like that, after he snaps Zod's neck, that like scream that he gives there, that's like really like you can see the pain on his face and how much that sucked. But the problem is that that's not ever really addressed or made clear. We're just supposed to go like, Superman looks kind of like that sucked for him, so I guess that sucked for him.
I think we should make an attempt to kind of rate this movie. Mm-hmm. And so we have come up with a scale for the way that we want to rate movies.
Yep.
And the scale
Movie is 175 pounds. But it's a Bluetooth scale, so it sends it right to your phone.
Give him the scale.
Yep. So we're gonna read out the scale, and then we'll kind of let you know what our thoughts are here.
Excuse me.
The best thing that we can possibly say about a movie is we want to own this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Never give it to anybody. Never let them borrow it.
Never
That's your
lend it.
movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
And don't you buy the poster?
You hang the poster above your
You
bed.
buy the poster for sure. I don't know where you hang it, but you definitely.
I don't have to think long and hard about if any movies fall into that category.
You get a tattoo of the poster.
That's the highest category. We're not throwing those out.
No.
You got to earn those.
Yeah.
So right under that, we're gonna say buy the special edition. So the one that's gonna come with your HD digital.
Thank you for joining us.
downloads.
This is our Man of Steel Special Edition unboxing video. If you're going to look here, it comes in a collectible Hope 10.
Hope Man.
Hope Man, Steel Man,
Comment
everyone's
forever.
favorite superhero.
Right under that is gonna be Rent It. This is one that you should find on Amazon Prime Video or whatever your
Or if
local
you're watching this
Blockbuster
in the
location.
past, you can rent it at Blockbuster.
Family Video, Hollywood Video, any of those options. Right under that is something we call Stream It.
If you're watching this in the future, that's something we used to do on a service called Netflix.
If we give it,
you wouldn't put any money into it.
no,
Right,
but if you're
yeah.
already paying for a subscription
If it's like
service
part of
and
your
it's on
subscription,
there,
you can watch
Or
it.
it happens to be on.
Yeah.
Watch it on TV with your dad at
Yeah.
2:30 in the afternoon.
DVR, skip the commercials.
Yeah.
Right under that is a category we call Forget It. You're better off if you just pretend this movie didn't exist.
Yep.
And then our lowest category of all, God Hath Forsaken Us.
We call this category What Movie? Dare you to convince me that movie's real. If you successfully convince me, I'll fly away. Either way, I win. So, also, if you're watching the video feed, I apologize. Our card in this camera completely filled up, and we are not professionals, so I'm only shooting on a tiny little card over there. So, you're gonna have to make do with 2 cameras like it's the Stone Ages. You're the freaking Flintstones over here.
So let's rate this movie. Doge, Vice Chunk, what would you give it?
Well, I do own the special edition of this movie.
It's true, and it's kind of shocking when we found it.
Yes.
Was it embarrassing when we found it and brought it out?
I was mortified because I would classify this movie as a rental.
Yeah. Okay.
I would still pay for it. I would still pay to rent it because it's good. It's entertaining.
Yeah.
I liked the movie. If I could do it again, I don't know that I would commit to having the special edition of this particular film in my collection.
How much did you pay for this?
It was actually a gift from my brother.
Okay,
so, Jody, if you're watching this, I'm so sorry that I trashed your present. I still like it.
Jody liked it.
He doesn't.
What would you give it?
I think I'm also going to say rent it. I don't know if I will ever rent it again.
Yeah.
But I definitely think if you haven't seen this movie and you like superheroes,
Come over. I own it.
Just
We
come on
watch it.
over. We'll watch it
We
together.
have the special edition.
We'll have a special edition party. We'll watch some bonus features.
But yeah, I think it's definitely worth a rental.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I think it's worth a rental. If I was in a room with somebody and they said they'd never seen it and it was available for $3.99, I'd be like, all right, let's watch it. But if it was like, well, it's only available for purchase, I think we're watching a different movie. I'm sorry.
We're calling my friend Doge, who makes bad life decisions because he owns the movie. I also own the soundtrack. Like I went full on Man
that's
of
a
Steel
purchase.
for a
Yeah,
while.
I think that the soundtrack.
I'm not kidding though. Like I bought the soundtrack the day after I saw this movie. Again, going back to my initial reaction of that's the best movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Welcome to Incorrect Assumptions. I am your host, Jordan Wonders.
So that's it. That's it for the 2 chunks and a hunk. Is there any final thoughts on Man of Steel?
I would say this movie is good, is not super.
Fair.
Yep. I think that the concept of this movie was great. I thought the casting of this movie was great. I thought the costumes of this movie was great.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about that. That costume looks great.
It does. And I think that's something DC does as we continue to go through DC. They cast incredible. The costumes are incredible.
Oh my gosh, dude,
and
that
even
Batman costume
oh my
is
goodness.
so sweet.
And
Yes.
honestly, the concepts are
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, if we were to sit down at a table with Zack Snyder and he said, "Here's the movie we're going to make," and he just described it for us, we'd be like, this is going to be incredible.
die,
and he'd
yeah.
be like, oh, and by the way, Henry Cavil, he's playing Superman. We'd be like,
Yep.
shut up. And he'd
Yeah.
go, and here's the suit. And we'd be like, what? And he'd go, and we have Hans Zimmer. We'd go, shut up.
Yeah.
And then you go, here's the movie. And we'd be like,
What?
Oh, wait, hang
Why?
on. Ashton? Are you here? Are we being pumped?
we getting punked?
It was literally set up for success.
Yeah.
And so my final thoughts is it's good. It's not great. It had so much potential. It's so sad the amount of potential it has. The amount of potential and cool scenes gives it a rent. But other
Yeah.
than that, I think it's just sad.
Sure. So ultimately, I think what we've
What's your closing thoughts?
Yeah, I think kind of what we've hit on is this is a movie that should, by all accounts, be amazing, but in fact comes up short in emotional payoff and even acting in a lot of ways, but just mostly in, I think, getting across who Superman is and why we should care about him as a character.
Yeah.
So once again, we're super excited that you guys are listening, and we're going to be putting another one of these out pretty soon, talking about Batman versus Superman. That'll be next up on our list. We're working our way through the DC Extended Universe. And so after we finish up the 4 movies in the DC Extended Universe, hopefully we'll be finishing up with Justice League here pretty soon.
Yeah, that comes out soon, doesn't it?
And we're going to love it the first night we see it.
Yeah. Not so
we're
much
gonna
after.
wait to record that review.
So once
Yeah,
we finish
if
up
you-
with that, we'll be taking requests. So be thinking about movies that you'd like to hear us talk
And that's
about.
a big hint. We'll be taking requests.
Liam Neeson. We're only doing Liam Neeson movies from this point onward.
This is going to become a Neeson podcast.
Once again, thank you. For Two Chunks and a Hunk, I'm Jordan.
I'm David.
And I'm Doge.
Bye!
See you next time. And now, armed with this knowledge, you can fly!
Man of Steel music, hit him.